Okay, just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Go on. You just inhaled, well, not just air. You inhaled hundreds, maybe thousands of tiny invisible life forms. We don't see them, right?
Yeah.
We hardly ever think about them. But these little microscopic things, they've been here for over 3.5 billion years. I mean, it's way before the dinosaurs, billions of years before.
Yeah.
And honestly, they'll probably be here long after we're gone.
Yeah.
They're like the planet's silent partners. Everywhere.
They really are. And they're much more than just passengers hitching a ride on the air currents. These are the planet's engineers, you could say. It's caretakers. And definitely its original inhabitants. We're talking bacteria, archaea, fungi, protozoa, even viruses. And the scale is just staggering. They make up more than half of all biomass on Earth. In the air, like you said, in water, soil, even inside us. They're literally everywhere.
It really changes how you see things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So our mission today in this deep dive is to explore this hidden world. How do these invisible life forms actually shape our planet, our health, and, yeah, maybe even our future? Let's unpack this. How exactly do these microscopic architects, well, rule the world? So let's start at the very beginning. Life itself. Where did it all pick off? How did these tiny things get everything started?
Right, the origin story. The best science suggests life began in the oceans. Probably not the calm beaches we imagine, but maybe around deep-sea hydrothermal vents, or perhaps in warm, shallow pools, the sort of primordial soup idea. And the first life forms, definitely single-celled microbes. What's amazing about them right from the start is their toughness, their resilience. They could handle conditions that would, frankly, sterilize the planet today. Extreme heat, crushing pressure, intense acidity, radiation, you name it. And the descendants of these early microbes, the extremophiles, they're still around, living in boiling acid pools, deep-sea trenches. They give us a window into life's absolute limits.
That adaptability is just incredible. And speaking of big moments in evolution, there's that one discovery about our own cells.
Yeah.
It really changed everything, didn't it?
Oh, you mean endosymbiosis. Absolutely.
Yep.
It's not just some interesting detail. It's a fundamental cornerstone of complex life. Think about this. The little power factories inside your cells right now, the mitochondria,
Yeah.
they used to be free-living bacteria. Billions of years ago, some early, more complex cell basically swallowed one of these bacteria. But instead of digesting it, they started working together, a partnership. This merger, this symbiosis, allowed cells to generate much more energy. It was a huge leap. It paved the way for bigger, more complex cells, and eventually multicellular life. Animals, plants, us. So yeah, even our basic cellular machinery is built on this ancient microbial teamwork. It's pretty profound.
Wow. So from powering the first complex cells to, well, they're still running the show today, aren't they?
Yeah.
How do these tiny organisms keep the whole planet functioning?
They really are the biosphere's engine room. Honestly, without microbes, the big natural cycles would just grind to a halt. Take nitrogen. The air is full of it, right? About 78%. But plants can't use it like that. It's microbes in the soil doing nitrogen fixation. They convert it into ammonia and other forms plants can use. No microbes, no usable nitrogen, no plant growth. Simple as that. And they're the planet's recyclers. Think of all the dead leaves, fallen trees, everything that dies. Microbes break it all down. They return essential nutrients back to the ecosystem. If they stopped, we'd be buried under layers and layers of dead stuff.
And what about the oxygen? You mentioned earlier they were involved way back when, but are they still contributing now?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's an ongoing contribution and a massive one. Remember those cyanobacteria? Billions of years ago, they started pumping out oxygen through photosynthesis. They basically terraformed the planet for us, changing the atmosphere completely. And today, it's estimated that about 50%, half of the oxygen you breathe, comes from microscopic phytoplankton in the oceans. Tiny photosynthetic microbes. And beyond just making oxygen, marine microbes are crucial for climate regulation. They suck up enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, turning it into biomass. They're a key part of the planet's carbon cycle.
So they're not just ancient history, they're actively managing the atmosphere now. What about down in the dirt? Soil health.
Soil is teeming with microbial life. A single handful of healthy soil has more microbes than humans on Earth. It's staggering. This soil microbiome is essential. It drives nutrient cycling for plants, helps bind soil together to prevent erosion, and stores vast amounts of carbon. But it's a delicate ecosystem. Things like overuse of fertilizers, pesticides, deforestation, they can really disrupt these communities. And when you disrupt the soil microbiome, you impact everything up the chain. Plant health, water quality, even carbon release into the atmosphere. We mess with it at our own risk.
It's incredible how these unseen forces shape the whole planet. But let's bring it even closer. What about us, our own bodies?
Okay, prepare yourself. This is where it gets really personal and kind of mind-bending. You ready? You have more microbial cells living in and on your body than you have human cells.
Wait, really? More microbes than me cells?
Yep. By some estimates, maybe close to parity, others suggest even 10 times more, though that figure is debated. The point is, there are trillions of them. Your body isn't just you, it's an ecosystem, a walking, talking habitat for microbes. They're in your gut, all over your skin, in your mouth, nose, even your lungs. This whole community is called your microbiome, and it's constantly interacting with your human cells, talking to them, chemically speaking.
Okay, the gut microbiome. That seems to be everywhere in the news lately.
Yeah.
What's the latest on what it actually does for us, beyond just, digestion?
Right, digestion is the classic one, and they're vital for breaking down food we can't handle ourselves and making certain vitamins like K and some B vitamins, but it goes so much further. Your gut microbes play a huge role in training your immune system, especially early in life, teaching it what's a threat and what's friendly. And then there's the gut-brain axis. This is a really hot area of research. There's growing evidence linking the state of your gut microbiome to your brain health and mood. Imbalances might be involved in things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, but also potentially anxiety, depression, maybe even autism spectrum disorder. It's complex, we're still learning, but the message is clear. These aren't just passengers. We need them. We literally couldn't survive without our microbial partners.
So they're essential engineers for the planet, essential partners for our bodies. But there's another side to the coin, isn't there? In medicine, they can be the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a classic double-edged sword. On the one hand, pathogenic microbes, certain bacteria, viruses, fungi cause disease. Think tuberculosis, malaria, HIV, influenza, and of course, COVID-19. They've caused immense suffering throughout history. But then the paradox. Microbes are also the source of many of our most powerful medicines. Penicillin, the first major antibiotic, came from a mold, a type of fungus. The vast majority of antibiotics we use today were originally discovered in soil bacteria or fungi. Same for many antivirals and antifungals, and now we're even engineering them, using genetically modified bacteria to produce things like insulin for diabetes, complex cancer-fighting drugs, and components for vaccines. It's incredible, really.
It is, but that reliance brings us to a huge problem. Antibiotic resistance. It feels like we're in a race against time with that.
We absolutely are. It's a major global health threat, basically evolution in action. Every time we use an antibiotic, we kill off the susceptible bacteria, but any that happen to have natural resistance survive and multiply. Overuse and misuse of antibiotics has accelerated this process dramatically. We risk heading back to a time when simple infections could be deadly again. It's serious. But interestingly, microbes might also hold the solutions. There's a lot of excitement around bacteriophages. These are viruses that specifically infect and kill bacteria. Phage therapy is making a comeback.
Right.
And also microbiome therapy, using beneficial microbes, maybe through fecal transplants or targeted probiotics, to fight off infections or restore healthy balance. So using microbes to fight microbes.
Okay, this next part. It sounds almost like science fiction. Can microbes actually have some form of intelligence? Without a brain, how does that even work?
It does sound counterintuitive, doesn't it? It forces us to question what we mean by intelligence. They don't have neurons or brains, obviously. But they show these remarkably complex, coordinated behaviors. It suggests some kind of information processing, maybe even collective decision-making. A key example is quorum sensing in bacteria. They release chemical signal molecules. When enough bacteria are present, a quorum, the signal concentration gets high enough, and it triggers coordinated group behaviors, like launching an infection all at once, or building protective slimy layers called biofilms, or activating genes to resist antibiotics together. It's like chemical voting.
Wow, coordinating attacks like an army.
Yeah.
What else? I heard something about slime molds.
Ah, yes, slime molds. They are fascinating, technically single-celled organisms, but they can merge into a large amoeba-like mass. And experiments have shown they can solve mazes. If you put food sources at different points in a maze, the slime mold will explore, and it finds the most efficient path connecting all the food sources. It effectively optimizes networks, almost like it's calculating the best route. It's quite amazing for something without a nervous system.
So what does this imply? If these simple organisms can do this stuff, what is intelligence, really?
Exactly. It really challenges our human-centric view. It suggests that intelligence, or at least intelligent-like behavior, might not require a complex brain. Maybe it's an emergent property, something that can arise from collective interactions and chemical signaling, even in very simple life forms. It definitely broadens the discussion about where cognition might come from. Maybe thinking in some form is more widespread in nature than we ever imagined.
That's a wild thought. Let's take this out there now, beyond Earth. If we do find life elsewhere, what's the betting it looks like?
based on life's history here on Earth, and especially the existence of those extremophiles we talked about. The smart money is on microbial life. Life started in microbial here, and microbes dominate the planet in terms of biomass and adaptability. Those extremophiles thrive in conditions extreme heat, cold, radiation, pressure, weird chemistry that mirror conditions we think exist elsewhere. Think Mars beneath the surface, or the subsurface oceans suspected on moons like Jupiter's Europa or Saturn's Enceladus. If life can handle boiling acid here, maybe it can handle conditions out there too.
Which is why NASA isn't really looking for little green men, but more like little green microbes.
Precisely. The search for extraterrestrial life, especially within our solar system, is heavily focused on finding microbial biosignatures. These are the chemical fingerprints, the traces, the molecular fossils, or even living microbes themselves that would indicate life. Finding confirmed microbial life beyond Earth, well, that would be one of the biggest discoveries in human history. It would change everything. Our understanding of biology, our place in the cosmos, it would tell us life isn't unique to Earth.
Okay, looking ahead then. It feels like we're just starting to tap into what microbes can do for us. What does the future hold? What's the potential here?
Oh, the potential is enormous. We're already seeing microbes used for bioremediation, cleaning up pollution. Think bacteria engineered to digest oil spills or even break down plastics. Some microbes can even help extract valuable metals from ore mining. Then there's synthetic biology. Scientists are reprogramming microbes like little biological factories, engineering them to produce sustainable biofuels, maybe creating living materials that can self-repair, or even producing proteins for food without needing farms or animals. Think lab-grown food components.
So tackling pollution, creating new materials, maybe even changing how we eat. What about climate change?
That's another huge area. Can we engineer microbes to capture more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere? Or use them to produce alternatives to carbon-intensive industrial products like cement or plastics. There are active research projects exploring all of this. We're really just beginning to understand the vast biochemical toolkit that the microbial world possesses. It feels like we're on the verge of a new era, harnessing this unseen power for all sorts of innovations. You know, when you step back, to ignore microorganisms is really to misunderstand life itself. Fundamentally, they were first. They are the most abundant. And given their incredible resilience, they might very well be the last life forms remaining, billions of years from now. They underpin our ecosystems, they regulate our health, they influence the climate, and they might even represent the blueprint for life elsewhere.
It really is humbling. You can't see them, but their influence is just everywhere. From the oxygen in this room to the soil under our feet to maybe, just maybe, life on other planets. So next time you take a breath, maybe think about that invisible world you're interacting with. The oldest, most essential, and arguably most powerful life force on our planet.
Absolutely. The age of the microbe isn't over.
Yeah.
Not by a long shot. In so many ways, it feels like it's really just beginning. There's so much more to discover.